Hello and welcome to this brief introduction on how to use your essential oils. And we're working on the essential oils. So there's an oil for soothing and calming when you're feeling a little overstressed. And then looking at an oil that is a little bit more uplifting and invigorating when you just need that little bit more burst of energy. And so it is important, as always, when you're working with essential oils, just to check if there is any allergies, any sensitivities, to make sure that the oils that you are using are blended in the appropriate carrier oil. Please don't put any neat essential oils directly onto the skin. And if you're uncertain, just read any labels, check out if you have any medications that might contradict the oils themselves as well. And you can always do a little spot test. I usually just do one on the side of my wrist. And if you have any skin sensitivity, just wash it off with some warm soapy water. So with the oils, if you've received the pack or if you're working with your own oils, then you choose the oil that you feel is most appropriate for how you are in that moment. So if you need something a little bit more soothing, you can work with that. If you want something a bit more invigorating, then you can choose that one. And just making sure that you're comfortable. So these are really simple little ideas that you could do anytime. It's not a sequence. You can do one of them, put them all together, and you can just experiment a little bit. So it's nice to have a quiet, comfortable place if that's available to you. You could do this lying in bed. You could do this sitting on your sofa or on the floor. But just so that maybe your phone's turned off, that you've got a few moments just from the sort of surroundings, the noise of the surroundings, so that you can really enjoy the benefit of the oils. So I'm going to show you sort of 3 specific points. These are sort of aroma pressure points and a breathing practice. So again, it's not in a sequence. You can pick and choose once you've gone through this little video instruction of how to use your oils. So I've got these little blended oils that some of you may have sent out, or you may be using your own. And so the first one, depending whichever oil you're using, is just to put a little drop into your palm. 1 drop should be plenty in the blended oil. And then massage that gently into the palms and just bring the hands close to the face and softly breathe that in. And breathing in and out through the nose, if that's possible. If not, just breathe the best way for you today. And just taking in that scent. So if it's soothing, starting to breathe in that aroma. If it's a little more stimulating, you may not need your hands quite as close, but just getting that sense. You can do this as long as you like, a few moments, 5 minutes, and just taking in that aroma. And if I was doing this a little bit longer, I'd stay with that. But once I've finished, I maybe just rub the palms again. And then I would massage around the neck and the throat. Then you could be quiet. If you're doing a relaxation, it's great. Then you can just close your eyes and go into relaxation and still have the aroma. And you could work with it that way. And then I would always, after, wash my hands, make sure I don't rub my eyes with any of the oils, even if they're blended in a carrier oil. So that's a really simple method of just taking in the scent. And it can be done as quickly or as long as you like. And if you're going for the soothing oil, that's quite nice to do when you're in bed, just to help you get into that more slumber mode. So I'd like to move on then to the sort of 3 different pressure points that you could apply the oils to. And again, it works with either oil, whether you're going for the stimulating one or the soothing one. So with this method, we're going to look at 3 points. So 1 point is either side of the temple. Another point is these sort of little notches, these collarbone points here. And then the 3rd point is on the wrist. So what I tend to do with this is just drop an oil on the finger pad. And I tend to use the middle finger rather than the index finger. Just lightly massage the oil into both finger pads. And then with a few small circular motions, you could go a couple of times one way, just a light pressure. And again, breathing in, breathing out, catching the aroma. A few times one way. And again, time-wise, as long or as fast as you want it to be, the aroma will be absorbed. You can pause and then just let that relax. Just stay with the scent and that touch and that little pressure point that we've been working with. This is really good point if you've got a little bit of headache or if your mind's a little bit busy. It works in balancing whether you feel overstimulated or understimulated. The light is pressure. And again, just sensitivity, remember, with oils around the eyes. It's not so close, it's further back towards the hairline of the temple. And you could just take one pressure point, use that just as a pick you up in the afternoon if you're feeling a little tired or sluggish. And then if you prefer, we'll look at the next point, which is the collarbone. So again, apply a drop of oil onto the finger pads. And I tend to just use a single finger rather than the whole of the hand here. Unlike the first one, when we use the cup of the hand, the palm of the hand to work around that space. It's a broader stroke. This is more specific. So just that notch, that bony bit of the collarbones. And again, just some small circles, a few times one way. And I usually like to close my eyes and I'm breathing in the wonderful aroma that I'm receiving. And a few times the other way. So the duration is entirely up to you. Sometimes just a few moments is all you need. And I tend to just linger when I've done a few little circular rotations, just slightly more pressure, not so much that it's uncomfortable, just a slight more pressure. And then you could relax when you've done that, let the hands come down. You could close the eyes, just take a moment, still all the time, receiving the scent, the aroma. So it's working into all our layers of being and systems. And then we'll move on to the final point, which is in the wrist. And it's at the base of the thumb. So this point just here. Okay, so not the little finger side. We're just going to work on this tiny little notch, a little dimple. Maybe you might find it there at the base of the thumb. So this is usually just one hand at a time. I actually quite like using the thumb for this one. So I'm going to put a little blob of oil there. And then I'm going to place my thumb in that little notch. And I tend to more just hold here. So I'm holding my hand up so you can see, but generally if I'm lying down, then I'd let that arm relax or down on my lap. And then there's just the lightest pressure. And you're breathing in and out through the nose. The eyes can be closed or open. And when you've done that a few times, so I'm just holding my hand up for demonstration, you could then massage the point. Just a few rotations one way and then the other. And then I would repeat on the opposite side. So that pressure point at the root of the thumb in the wrist crease. Arm relaxed, shoulder relaxed, breath relaxed. Adjusting your position for however you are, seated, lying, or in a chair. And again, just a few massaging rotations one way and then the other. And then I would just pause, let the hands relax and take a moment. So with each of these, the breathing practices or these 3 points at the temple, the collarbones or the wrist could all be done individually. It takes the briefest of times and it will be really helpful. Or you could combine and do all of them if you have a little bit more time. And I would just stick with one oil in that time. So maybe in the morning you need something a bit more stimulating just to get you going. You're doing that in the evening, then you'd want something that's a bit more soothing. And finding an oil that resonates with you, that really has a deep impact as well. So thank you and enjoy the oils. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.